Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the three-circle model of family business systems. I would like you to talk about that, but this is, widely regarded as the model that is still utilized today. And it was a professor at Harvard and his graduate student that came up with this, Renato Tagari and John Davis, going back into the late 70s. What I thought we would do is, if you wouldn't mind, let's just start with the big picture and then dive a little deeper as we go through it. What is the three-circle model?
Well, I'm hoping that our listeners, Michael, have a pad and paper in front of them, because we're going to do some diagramming. And I'm going to go a little slowly.
Perfect.
In the hope that each of the persons listening will find a pad and paper. And let me just suggest to each of you that it would be good if you had maybe 4 sheets of paper and a pencil. So I can take you through it this way. So in diagramming the three-circle model as it's come to be, this is a Venn diagram, V-E-N-N, which is a diagram in which you have 3 circles that intersect. So if you put on your paper on the upper left-hand side a circle and you write in it family, and on the upper right hand of your paper intersecting that circle, you make another circle that says owners / board, B-O-A-R-D, and then below the two, kind of in the middle of the two, intersecting another circle, and you put in that circle the word management. So you should have 3 circles that intersect, create a kind of 3-place intersection in the center. The left one, upper one saying family, the right upper one saying board or owners / board, and the bottom central one saying management. So what Mr. Davis, John Davis and Tagari imagined was that family enterprises, and I'd like Michael to extend for a moment the word business to the word enterprise, and suggest this morning, to the extent that they're interchangeable, that we use the words business or enterprise interchangeably in order to include listeners whose businesses are today enterprises managing the fruits of businesses that have turned into financial assets, so that we're encompassing the whole range of resources, whether they're business resources or what I will call enterprise resources, that include families whose enterprises are now in financial form rather than in business form.
Agreed. That makes sense.
Does that seem to you to paint a picture of the three-circle model?
Perfectly.
All right. Now, let me then ask our wonderful listeners on the other pages I've given them to take the next step on this, to realize that when John Davis and Mr. Tagari imagined this all those years ago, they imagined it in a certain way that is static. So if you're looking at this at your paper, you're looking at a 2-dimensional picture of it. What I'd now like all of our listeners to do is to turn on, as my wonderful wife, the storyteller, says, to turn on their imagination stations. And to realize that each of these circles in 3-dimension is a sphere. That the family circle is not a 2-dimensional flat, it is a round sphere full of energy. And the owner board circle is also a sphere of energy. And that the management circle is a sphere of energy. Because if we think about it, inside family, there are multiple relationships of human beings. Inside the owner board, there are multiple relationships of what I call dynamic stakeholder conserving stakeholders. And there are board members of many different relationships. And in management, they're all different kinds of managers. So this is not a flat horizontal or vertical picture. It's actually a picture of a dynamic system. And surrounding that, those three spheres, is a larger sphere that's invisible, which is the field of family evolution. So in your imagination stations, please imagine that surrounding the three dynamic spheres, there is a larger sphere, somewhat mysterious, hard to see, that is the whole sphere of the family's field of experience. So that's a lot of imagination, but that's actually what it looks like. And Michael, one of the difficulties in our field has been that the teaching of the three-circle model, as we refer to it, in my opinion, has been far too static. That is, studying products and processes as if this was flat and never changed. While in fact, it's a dynamic system in which the energy of each sphere is constantly flowing. So I'm going to stop there and see if my imaginal way of describing it has given you, at least, and our listeners, a way of seeing that this is a dynamic thing, not a static picture.
It makes perfectly good sense, because when you start to think about it, if you don't think of it as dynamic, you're excluding things like what happened for me 2 days ago, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. My daughter just got engaged, and so when you're bringing in a new member to the family, and especially when you're thinking in terms of a family of affinity, and maybe even more so if you're not currently a family of affinity, that is going to have a dramatic impact on all of those other spheres as you're going through things. If you bring in a new manager who has a different skill set, if you bring in a board member that just has a different way of thinking, it changes all of those spheres. So it is 100% dynamic.